Ben here, back with a quick little video for you. I had a comment in one of my videos just recently. It was the one where I did a review on my Sawmill, and the question was, how do you track the blade? And if somebody's having an issue with it and can't get the blade tracked, I figured I'd just do a quick little video. It'd be better than me trying to explain it in words. It'd be better just to show you. Now this is how I do it. And Woodland Mills does have a video on YouTube that explains how the right proper way to track the blade is. This is kind of a down and dirty, my version of how I do it, and I just figured maybe it would help somebody out, so I'll show you guys how I do it. Off with, every time I'm done, I loosen my blade up, and the blade is usually sitting here loose. I usually take it off because if you don't, it sits and it rusts. So the blade is usually generally loose on here. Now this wheel here, you can see how it's loose. This is the one that's going to have your tracking on it. Now, my Woodland Mills is the 2016 version, and this is how the setup works. The handle here cranks on one half of the shaft that holds that idle pulley on there, and the other side back here holds this backside tight, so that if you tighten this in, if you think about it, it jacks the shaft out, and if you loosen it up, it puts it in. And what that does is it takes the outside wall here and pivots it one way or the other to get your blade to ride either out or in. And you want your blade just to sit and kind of idle where it sits up against these bearings here. So you want the blade to just sit back and just, I have it so it just almost touches them, and a lot of the time it's not even touching those bearings. And if you don't push hard on the Sawmill, if you have a nice sharp blade, it just runs right through the wood and never actually comes in contact with those two pulleys, those two bearings. I've seen guys wear through them from pushing on it too hard with dull blades. But you want your blade just to track and just come back and just about touch. That's where it's at. So what I generally do is, while the blade is loose, I reach my hand back in here and I run the blade back till the blade is even with the back side of the wheel. Even here, even up here. And then I come over to this side and I do the same thing. You can see right now it's in a little bit. I reach my hand back here and I pull it out so that it's even in the back. Even in the back, even in the back. Now once the blade is even, I'm going to take this tracking, I'm going to take it out of whack a little bit here just to show you. Right now it's about where I want it, but I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. And when I do, that's going to bring the pivot out a little bit. It'll bring my blade out off the front. And then when I tighten this handle, now again, Woodland Mills gives you torque specs on how tight to torque this with a torque wrench. And I don't necessarily do it the right way. I just tighten it down. I kind of have a hand feel for it where tight is tight. Now once I tighten that up, and this is tight, you're supposed to lock this lock nut down once you get it into place on where you want it. Now, just for the sake of checking the adjustment on it here, this is tight now because this is tight. So to adjust this, you need to loosen the handle up. Now I've got this all tight up right now, and what I generally do, you have to be careful when you're moving things around. Now this has a centrifugal clutch on it, so as long as you're not moving that pulley, your motor won't kick and engage and start. But you gotta be careful with gasoline engines. You can kickstart them and have problems here. So you gotta be careful and think about your safety a little bit. But as long as that belt doesn't move, when I grab this wheel and turn this wheel in here, and that belt, see how that belt is moving? This clutch is a centrifugal clutch. So inside there, the shaft isn't moving, so the motor's not spinning. You see how that bolt doesn't move on the end? So now I've spun it a couple times, and you can see the blade is walking out. See how the blade is out now? It's not even with the back anymore. So I know that I have the pitches out too far. So what I do is I loosen this back up, push in on it so that it's in, and now I'm going to back this out about a half a turn or so, tighten this back up. Now just for demonstration purposes, I know about where it needs to be, but let's just say if I go in a little bit too far with this, if you go in too far with this and then tighten this up, now when I spin this, if you watch this blade here, see how the blade is sucked right back against the back wall now? And that's no good either, because now you're going to pop off onto the inside. So now my tracking is off too far the other direction. So now again, I'll loosen this up. Now because it's going and it's riding in against the inside, I know that I have to come out with this bolt. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure where I'm at right now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring this blade back out. And then I'm going to tighten this back down. I'm going to spin this by hand, and you see where the teeth go. You see how they're still riding back in. It disappeared. That gullet there actually went back in. So it's getting close. I spun it about 2 spins here, and it's just starting to go back in. So I'm going to loosen this back up again. I am going to loosen this bolt just a little bit. Bring the blade back out again. Tighten this back down. Alright, now I've got this tensioned up again. Give this another spin. And you see how these gullets, there's a little bit of a gap there. It's even with the back of the wheel, and it's staying there. It's going in just a little bit, so I'm going to have to come back out a little bit more. So now I'll loosen this up again, come back out just a little bit, tighten this back down. And your best bet is to get a torque wrench and tighten this to the right spec. But once you get it there, I can see that it's staying right there. The gullet is just lined up with the wheel. It's out the back just a hair, but it's still not lined up with my bearing there. It's got a slight gap there. You can see that. It should be up against that bearing or very close to it, so it could go back just a hair. But that's generally right there, that's where I leave it at. I leave it so the gullets are lined up there, it's even with the back of the wheel. And that's where I usually run my blade at, right there. And I have not had an issue. So I hope that helps anybody who's looking to looking for a little bit of help on tracking their blade on their woodland mills, sawmill. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.